Ladies and gentlemen, hello, this is Debo over at Landsago, and today we have another deck tech for you. So this is the deck that I like to call Sultai Wand, and it's based around a card that we're running 3 of in our main list here, and it's called Chaos Wand. It's a 3-mana artifact. It's really interesting. It has an activated ability that says pay 4 and tap it, and we can exile the top cards of our opponent's library until we hit an instant or sorcery spell, and we can cast that card without paying its mana cost. Now what's really been holding this card back is that 4-mana activation of Chaos Wand, because it prevents us from being able to hold up our own instant speed or sorcery speed answers, because we're trying to then use this 4 mana to be able to activate the wand. However, with RNA, we got Wilderness Reclamation, which is an enchantment that allows us to untap our lands on our end step. Now what's really great about this is that if we happen to get multiple of these down, since we're running 4, we can use the Chaos Wand in between the untap triggers to be able to get value out of our opponent's deck, as well as bolster our own. In addition to Wilderness Reclamation, we're going to be running one other enchantment, and that's going to be 3 Search for Azcanta. Now, Search for Azcanta is going to allow us to take a look at the top of our library in the early game, and it can help us fix our draws. And when it finally flips over to Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, it basically gives us an impulse for non-creature spells every single turn. And it combos really nicely with Wilderness Reclamation, as because it turns into a land, and that land will then untap on our end step, allowing us to dig several times for more answers or our win conditions. Now, we do have 2 win conditions in this deck. One of them is findable from Search for Azcanta, and that's 3 Vraska Relic Seeker. Now, this is a 6-mana win condition, which is fine in my opinion. It gives us +2, create a 2/2 Black Pirate with Menace. Now this is likely going to just end up being a chump blocker for us in the late game, especially against aggro lists. However, we also have a -3 to destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment, and then we get to create a treasure token, which will ramp us. We can also -10 to make an opponent's life total become 1. Now, if we're going to get to that -10, since it comes in at 6 loyalty, we're going to have to tick it up a couple of times, which will give us a couple of 2/2s with Menace. Now, if we are able to swing in with those, and they don't have enough blockers, we can win the game that way. Our other win condition is 1 Nezahal Primal Tide. This 7-mana 7/7 Elder Dinosaur can't be countered, gives us no maximum hand size, and whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, we get to draw a card. And then we have the added ability of being able to discard 3 cards and exile Nezahal and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So what's really great is if they try to then target it with removal or blow up the board, we can then discard cards from our hand, maybe some lands or some extra Chaos Wands or something like that, and be able to exile Nezahal and return to the battlefield safe and sound. Now what's really great with running Wilderness Reclamation is it allows us to play Nezahal freely, and we don't have to feel bad about not being able to hold up a counterspell or instant speed interaction, of which we're running plenty. The rest of our deck is basically going to be instants, except for one exception, which is going to be Thought Erasure. We're running 4 copies of Thought Erasure, and for blue and a black, we basically get a discard spell that allows us to look at our opponent's hand, choose a non-land card from it, and they have to discard that card, but it also gives us a Surveil 1. Now the Surveil will help us filter the top card of our library, allowing us to find lands if we need them, or action spells if we need them, and pitch whatever we don't need to the graveyard. Now in addition to this Surveil trigger, we're also going to be running 4 Sinister Sabotage, which will also give us a Surveil trigger. For 1 blue, we have an instant speed counter target spell. It's going to be a really important card for us to be able to handle some of our opponent's worst threats. And in addition to this counter spell, we also are running 2 Syncopate in the main deck. For X and a blue, we get to counter target spell unless an opponent pays X. And then if they can't, it gets exiled instead of put in their graveyard. It's going to be extremely important against cards like Arclight Phoenix, or other cards that facilitate reanimation like the Eldest Reborn, allowing them to get back a creature or a Planeswalker. Now, another way for us to deal with that is going to be 3 Vraska's Contempt, which will also exile these cards as well. So for 2 black, we have exile a creature or a Planeswalker, plus we get to gain 2 life, which will be very important against early aggro lists and things like that, but it's going to be a great answer for us in the late game against some of these other control strategies as well. In addition to the early aggro answers, we are running 2 Cast Down. For 1 black, we get to destroy target non-legendary creature. In addition to these instant speed removal spells, we will also be running 3 Assassin's Trophies, kind of as a catch-all that can help us deal with enchantments or artifacts that we can't normally deal with. Maybe our opponent is running a Wilderness Reclamation, but it also allows us to hit something like Vivian Reed, which can basically blow up our entire combo. In addition to this, we will also be running, for our card advantage here, 4 Chemister's Insight. Now for 4 mana, we get to basically draw 2 cards, and then we can cast this from our graveyard by discarding a card and paying the same mana cost to draw an additional 2 cards. So this is going to be really great for us in the late game to kind of refill our hands and be able to cast this in between Wilderness Reclamation triggers. Our mana base is going to be pretty standard for a Sultai list. We'll be running 4 of every shock land that's available in those colors, as well as 2 of every check land. In addition to this, we will be running 2 Field of Ruin, a swamp, a forest, and 2 islands. our sideboard's going to be really interesting for us. Against control or combo, we do have a couple of additional answers, and 2 negate and 3 duress. Duress is going to be really important for us in the early game to be able to pull out their counter spells, to be able to resolve our Chaos Wand or Wilderness Reclamation. In addition to that, we will be running 3 Thief of Sanity, which is going to be really great against combo and control, as it'll allow us to, whenever we deal damage to our opponent, dig 3 deep into their library and pull a relevant spell that we can then cast anytime we normally could, using mana of any color to be able to cast that spell. It's going to be really great, especially because we're only running 1 creature in our main list, so most of the time if they're going to be seeing this list against us, they likely will be taking out the majority of their creature removal package. So having a Resolve Thief of Sanity on the field will allow us to be able to get in continual hits, and if left unanswered, can easily win us the game. Now, our worst matchup here, though, is going to be aggro, so we do have a couple of cards that can definitely fit against the aggro list here. We will be running 3 Karn Scion of Urza. For 4 colorless mana, we get a Planeswalker that allows us to basically draw a card every turn, whether it's one that we want or one that our opponent wants us to have, but we can also use it to -2 to get some chump blockers. We also have the added benefit that the Chaos Wand or the treasure tokens from Vraska can pump those tokens up. We'll also be running 2 of the Eldest Reborn to be able to control our opponent's board as well as their hand. And then we can use it to reanimate either of our win conditions, or we can also use it to reanimate some of our opponent's best creatures or planeswalkers as well. We'll also be running 2 Ritual of Soot, which is a sorcery for 2 black, which allows us to destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less. It's going to be extremely important against those early aggro lists, and it's going to definitely help us stabilize the game. Well, that's the list. What do you guys think? I've had the pleasure of using Chaos Wand before in other lists as well, and it's pretty dang hilarious. And with the addition of Wilderness Reclamation, we definitely get some amazing interaction with this deck. And I've got to say, every time I played this list, we've either won the match or we went down in a blaze of glory. But tell us, what do you think? Is this something that you guys would want to play? Is there anything that you would change about the list? Am I missing something that should be pretty obvious for this list here? Let us know down in the comments down below, and feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and let us know what you guys think. Again, this is Devo over at landsaygo.com. We appreciate you guys coming out and checking out the deck list with us today, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.